Well, it was always designed as one project, just to be clear about that. I think both mother and brother wanted it to be distinct. Neither one wanted it to be one house with another structure or dwelling within that house. So right from the start, there was a sense that it should be two separate, at least apparently separate tribes, two apparently separate homes, each with its own particular identity.
Is that mainly for privacy?
Well, privacy certainly is a big issue, but I think it was more. I think they all come circle around the same set of issues, but they wanted each one for their own reasons wanted to be distinct from the other, and the separation, was a formal separation, an acoustic separation, you might say, a spatial separation, to a certain degree, a programmatic separation. So that was clear right from the start. The issue was not so much how separate things were, because that was always very clear. The issue is how do you make two very separate things one?
And there was reference to an umbilical cord in
the
Times article.
That was the joke.
Okay.
The device that sort of created two separate pieces, but also clearly identifiable separate pieces, but yet also connected them, was this passageway. Floor plates were separated, not nested within each other. It allowed for the views out of each dwelling to be separated. So you never look into each other's windows, and you try to limit the views that, even views of the lawns and surrounding outdoor areas, so that people don't necessarily look onto each other's outdoor spaces, because the house or houses often function indoor-outdoor a certain time of the year. So you have to be just as careful about the outdoor spaces as you do the indoor spaces. So the plan, as it evolved, and the disposition of the windows in the plan was designed in part to separate out the views. Now, I'm not answering precisely your question. Your question is really, it seems to me, how do you design initially, with privacy in mind, different degrees of privacy that over time you can deploy those different degrees depending upon the circumstance.
Yeah.
That seems to be the question. And again, I'm not going to answer your question directly, but I want to say that typically when you build, it was cheaper to build that house or the two houses at the same time than it was to build one and then build the other. They share mechanical systems. There's a economy of scale. When you build more, things are cheaper. You have one set of plans in effect, as opposed to doing the plans twice, which is more expensive. So there's an economy of scale when you build into the project a future dwelling. And it works in reverse. I mean, for my brother to have my mother build her house at the same time he's building his, though they really thought it was one house for the construction period. when my mother passes, and this is a real issue, he gets a larger house. He essentially gets a guest house that he can use in the future. So,
or a studio space,
or studio space, whatever.
Functionality.
So it works for him as well. So if you have the ability to invest more up front, it's cheaper in the long run.
Yeah.
The trick was, or the challenge was, to organize the plan in such a way that it provided the greatest sense of openness, while at the same time creating discrete spaces that have a certain hierarchy. Okay, that was the challenge. So what this does is it breaks the house, it provides a spatial hierarchy, it provides long open views through the house so that you can sense this is all one space, but then it divides it up into discrete spaces. So it's traditional in that there are rooms. It's modern to the extent that there's a sense of openness and continuity between all the spaces. There's a transparency between all the spaces. So now, relative to the issue of privacy and so forth, what's interesting about this is that you can have three very different activities. Somebody cooking dinner, people eating, or people gathering, mother here doing her thing.
Whatever.
It's possible to make a hybrid of a house that is on one hand very open, very connected, one large space, but then with discretely placed doors, in the case of pivot doors, when they open, the space flows through. It's not like you're casing the opening and you're creating a spatial separation between a pivot door has no casing. It's just this door, the partition that pivots and allows us to be open. So
the uninterrupted views seem to sort of be the
uninterrupted views that really tie it all together. Yet,
interesting.
Between those views, there are separate zones. And if one were to make another, I don't know if you call it another dwelling or a house within a house, it's simply a matter of further isolating these separate pieces and possibly allowing for window to come through. By the way, windows are placed at the ends of these views so that they also stitch together, connect to the landscape.
Right. I want to touch on the issue of accessibility, which is really important especially for the aging.
Yeah, one
group.
floor.
So this was
the design. So everything is on one floor. She has access to all the public spaces in the brother's house here, which are all on the main floor. The only thing on the second floor are two and a half bedrooms,
which she'll never need to.
She doesn't have to go up to.
So that was obviously intentional.
Absolutely,
it was
very intentional.
Front of mind the whole process.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not just one.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.